Welcome to the 2-Point Conversion Coaches Show. I am your host, Brandon Hurley with the Jefferson Herald, and as always, I am joined by Greene County head football coach Mitch Moore. We are shooting today live from Tech Zone, one of our core sponsors, and we are also sponsored by Dock Stadium on the Jefferson Square. So without those two Jefferson businesses, we wouldn't be doing what we are here this week. In this week's episode, we recap number 9 Greene County's 35-14 win over Red Oak on the road. Big win. It moves the Greene County Rams to 7-1 overall, the first 7-win season since 2007. They are now 3-1 in District 9 play. It ties them with OABCIG and Kemper for the lead with 1 week left in the season. So big game. I'll run down some of the stats for you. Brent Riley, he had almost close to a 300-yard game, big bounce-back game for him. He had 2 touchdowns. He connected a lot with Carter Morton, who had 150 receiving yards and a touchdown. Clinton Denhart had 2 touchdowns rushing. On defense, once again, as we talked about last week, Bryce Hoyle had a huge game defensively from the defensive line, had 10 tackles. Nick Breon in the special teams broke the game open with a 75-yard punt return. The Rams led 21-0 at half, kind of dominated them defensively. So let's start there. How were you guys able to kind of hold Red Oak scoreless for that first half and take control of that game?
Well, really, we actually had a scheme that was different than what we ended up doing. Probably 10 plays into the game, we had practiced all week a 5-man front, and our linebackers weren't seeing what was going on as good as they were back in our normal base defense. And so we switched back to our base defense, and our defense just played with great passion and great energy, got off the ball. As you mentioned, Bryce Hoyle was, again, unblockable at that DN position. Tyler Miller played his best football game from a defensive standpoint. Nick Breon was relentless at the linebacker position. Lance Hughes played safety for us, had 5 solo tackles in that game, played really well for his first start as a safety. And then the unsung hero of our team, who I've thought all year, has been Austin Delp. I mean, that guy was everywhere. He's so physical. He's such a smart football player. He tackles well. He fills in for when mistakes happen. He's there shooting the gap. I mean, he's kind of a guy that I haven't talked about enough. I don't know if anybody does, but he's just always in the right spot, making a play when you need it, and he does it with such physicality. And then, Clay Smith always helps get everybody lined up. He's the quarterback of that defense. So, again, just a unit that continued to play as one and played with great energy and didn't let the field and the circumstances of the field conditions dictate the way we played. We still played with a lot of speed.
Yeah, and so we talked about it last week, but that long 2-hour road trip, it didn't seem to bother you guys too much. So how do you think your guys handled that, and how did you think they came out off of the bus?
Well, I thought we had a great plan as a staff. We got together and decided what time we needed to leave, and we left a little earlier than normal with our varsity guys. We got there and went through our normal pregame routine, being in Red Oak and not getting there rushed, have to get on the field and play. So we got there, we took a little walk, we went through our pregame routine, and we were prepared by the time the game started. We had our legs underneath us, and our guys' focus and attention to detail. Really, from about Thursday evening, I could tell we'd turned it up a notch. We knew how important this game was. Last week's game was. Obviously, this next game being even bigger. But at the time and place last Friday, we really honed in on what we needed to pay attention to, and our attention to detail, and how we attacked Friday, and the importance of everything that we were doing that day. They really concentrated on not getting too far ahead and just remaining on, hey, this is what we do before a game. This is what we need to do. This is how we gain our focus, and this is how we approach everything. And our kids just continue to do a great job as they have all season.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned it was a huge game. I mean, Red Oak was up there with only 1 loss in the district, and they had beaten OABCIG, who you play this week. So it wasn't an easy game going in. Nope. And with all the things going on, like the field conditions, you guys came out and dominated most of the game. So what do you think was kind of your biggest takeaway from this whole win last week?
Well, I knew from tape that they were a physical football team. They were a well-coached football team in terms of they knew who they had, and they knew the way to beat us was to control the ball and try to control the line of scrimmage and try to keep the ball out of our offense's hands. And we knew that we needed to match their physicality, win at the D-line and O-line, and then get the ball to our guys in space. And Coach Jaski did a great job of calling an offensive game and had a great game plan. And Coach Hansen and Coach Morton and Coach Westhoff and all those guys on the offensive side of the ball just did a great job of hey, you're going to match up one-on-one with Carter Morton and Lance Hughes. I've been saying it since day one. Go ahead and do that, and we're going to tell you, we're going to take shots because we feel those guys can go by guys. And again, those guys went up, made great plays. And then Brent Riley was terrific. Mm-hmm. And you know, Brent Riley, I've told you this, that where Brent Riley gets better is Friday night. And he has to have Friday nights to continue to get better. And we challenged him those last 2 weeks. You know, week probably 6 and 7 weren't his best 2 weeks of his high school career, and that's okay. That happens to a high school quarterback. But what was so neat about Brent is the way he bounced back. He had a different demeanor about him before the game. He had a calm demeanor about him, you know, and you just knew that he was poised to have a good football game, and he certainly did. His accuracy with the deep ball was outstanding. His command of the offense was really good. He was patient, and he was another guy that didn't let field conditions dictate what he was going to do. And then Clinton Denhart and Colby Kafer did a good job running the ball when we needed to. And Tyler Miller, again, on the O-line was his dominant self with Bryce Hoyle and Cole Betts and Brandon Hoyle and Brock Webker all providing a spark. We were able to run the ball effectively against a really good physical front, so that was good to see.
Yeah, and you mentioned Brent. Quietly, he's top 6-7 in the state in passing yards. It's like he doesn't have to throw a ball a ton, but I mean his numbers are going up there without us even really realizing it.
Yeah, and Brent's a talented quarterback. Whether there's going to be ups and downs in a junior season, a quarterback that started for the first time all year, but he's talented at getting the ball out. He can certainly has good accuracy and good touch to his ball, and the more he understands exactly what Cole's trying to do from a game plan, Coach Jaski, the better Brent's going to become, and the more Brent continues to study film and understand when he's got matchups to take them, the better Brent will become, and certainly it's fun to see him getting mentioned with some of those good quarterbacks in 2A because he's one of them. He's got great numbers. We'd like his accuracy to continue to get better as we move forward in this run we hope we have, but Brent's done a terrific job. Really proud of him. Yeah,
and we mentioned Bryce earlier in the show. The last 2 weeks he has 23 tackles from the defensive end spot. That's where you moved him to from the defensive tackle. How do you think he's been able to make that transition so easily?
Well, Bryce is a special guy, and I know I said it last week, and I'll say it again, and he's a special player at the D-line position because of his skill. He's a good baseball player. He can wrestle. He could probably run on your 4x1 team in some places in track. And then it goes back to what Bryce has done to transform his body and internally transform his mind into just a relentless football player. And Bryce is going to come off the ball the same way the last snap of the game as he does the first snap of the game. And in high school, if you're able to do that and consistently play at a high level, the product that we've put out there with him right now, that's what you're going to get, and so Bryce has been, and I'll talk about it tonight with our seniors, but he's just been such an instrumental leader for this program because he leads by example. Hey, if you do this and you work like this is what you can become in high school football, and he's a byproduct of that. And Bryce would be the first one to tell you that he's not able to do this without the guys behind him and the guys to the left and the right of him because, Brock Webker's a guy we don't talk about a lot, but Brock Webker routinely is consistent as anybody we have in our program and just his approach to everything he does. Tyler Miller is maybe the best player physically, right, and is certainly size and measurable to ever play in Greene County, and so that attracts a lot of attention. And then you've got Joe Pa and Tuba and some of those guys on the D-line who also take some weight off Bryce's shoulders. And when Bryce is out there on the D-end position, in high school football, not a lot of guys know how to chip a D-end, with a running back or not. They don't do a lot of things to slide. You can't slide protection to Bryce when you've got Tyler Miller in it at D-tackle. So Bryce has got one-on-one matchups, and when you've got Bryce matched up one-on-one, it's a good thing for Greene County.
Yeah, it really is. And no bones about it, but this is probably your biggest road win since you've been here in these last 2 weeks. I mean, this was you went and beat a winning team on the road. Granted, you had prior road wins this season, and you had a road win last year, but none of those teams had winning records.
Yeah.
So I guess just going off that, what does that say about where your team is at right now to get a win like that this late in the season?
Yeah, Brandon, I think you and I talked about it earlier in the week. We didn't know going into Perry. We kind of prepared the same way we did week 8, and that's the unique part about this team is their consistency and their preparation. And when we went into Perry, we didn't know who they were going into that game. We know that we had to play with great passion and great energy in a rivalry game. When we went to go to Gilbert, we knew it was going to be a tough environment with a big atmosphere and a team that we hadn't beaten in a while. And so we took those same approaches every week. Now, of course, those teams haven't, maybe had the seasons we thought or they could have had going into those games, but our approach to those games was no different than our approach to week 8 going on the road to a team that was tied for the lead in our district. And so, the credit goes back to the kids. The credit goes back to our coaching staff. We've prepared the same way every week. We've had consistent attitude and effort every week in practice. And we've just had we've had an ability to not make anything too big or too small. And we've been really efficient at trying to get better every day. And so when we've done that, you go into a game like Red Oak and you don't make it bigger than it is. You just say, hey, this is what we're doing. This is our mantra. We're going to want to try to outwork everybody. We want to play harder than everybody. And if we can do that, you get successful road wins like we just had on Friday night.
Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense that you're with that preparation, you're used to it, so you get kind of in that groove and get ready for it. But yeah, like I said, it was a huge win. It keeps you guys in the district title race, in the playoff race. I mean, it keeps that remarkable turnaround going from 1-8 last year to now 7-1. So it's just unbelievable where your team is going, and there hasn't been a letdown yet really this year. Even the Kemper game wasn't a letdown; it was just a game between two good teams. So I guess before we touch on the OABCIG game, we'll talk about the seniors. How many seniors do you have on your team again this year?
We've got 10 seniors, and every one of them has had major contribution to this program and helped lay the foundation for years to come. What we hope Ram football is, and There's nobody in particular that has been above and beyond everybody. They've been so good collectively as a group. I'm just so proud of them. You talk about Bryce Hoyle and his leadership, Clay Smith certainly in his leadership, Trey Highnote, how he's developed into he's just a great young man and a great person. Clint Denhart, the growth he's shown in the 2 years I've been here, he's certainly such a talented kid. Lance Hughes is off the charts talent-wise, and he's grown in a lot of areas in his life that we're really proud of. The David Richters of the world who has found himself a role on this team and never gave up on the process. Joe Anderson, again, who maybe hasn't played as much on Friday nights as he's liked to, but he's kept his mouth shut, he's put his head down, and he's done everything he can to be a great teammate for this team. Eric Thompson, who's found a niche for him as a scout team player for us. Brock Wepker, who I've talked about earlier in the show, is just a guy who's a model of consistency for us. And then Austin Delp, who again I believe is kind of an unsung hero to this football team, and everything he provides for us in terms of his ability to cover the pass, ability to stop the run, ability to make up for deficiencies that we have sometimes on the defensive side of the ball. And I can't think if I'm missing anybody right now, but I know that. Every single senior on this team has provided just an unbelievable model of consistency for what I want this program to be, and I couldn't be more thankful for this senior class. I've asked a lot out of them, Brandon. I've probably asked more out of this senior class and more out of this class of these 10 men than I've asked about any team that I've been a part of in terms of this is what we have to do to set a foundation for years to come in this program. And the neat part about this team is a year ago we had this same work ethic, maybe not the same consistency and approach to our work ethic, but we had the same work ethic because we developed it in year one. And they came back for year two after a 1-8 season where a lot of young men would have folded. And a lot of young men would have said, this head coach is crazy.
Yeah, this isn't
I'm not going to follow this guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to wake up at 6 a.m. every single morning. And I'm really thankful for these kids' parents. I'm thankful for the kids and the people around these young men that have helped them continue to believe in what I'm trying to preach, and our coaching staff is trying to preach to them. And as proud as I am is what they've done on the football field, I'm more proud of what these guys have done with bringing pride in our school. With the way that they have, not one guy has an F in school right now. They're all working in their grades. The community service they've done, the commitment to helping our youth out, the commitment to wearing the Ram with pride, and we're going to have senior night tonight. We'll get a chance for our seniors to stand, and it'll be an emotional night for all of us. But boy, it's a special group of seniors, and a group of 10 guys that I'll never forget.
Yeah, and you talk about having that pride. They're the first Greene County team to reach 7 wins, so they're kind of setting all sorts of marks. I mean, you go back to Jefferson Scranton, they've had better seasons than this, but as Greene County as a school, they haven't had a season like this, so these seniors can say, hey, we did this, we started this,
exactly
and
right.
We're building towards the future.
You're exactly right, and I go back to just their work ethic. The reason they have 7 wins. There's certainly some talented kids in that group. There's no question. But their work ethic, they've developed an uncanny work ethic about them, and that's going to help them in life. Well, no matter what they do, they're going to be leaders in their job forces, and they're going to be great fathers and great husbands and great leaders in whatever community they end up in. And boy, I just, you get emotional thinking about those kids and what they've done and what they've provided for this program and this community in the last year and a half, because it is special. 5-10 years down the road, I've said from day one, my goal was to come here and win championships. And as you're staring 1-8 down the barrel, you're thinking, holy cow, how are we going to do that?
Harder than I think,
they never wavered. They never wavered 1 second. I look at guys like Clint Denhart and Bryce Hoyle and Brock Wepker. They never missed one workout since the day I got here. Not one.
That's
not one
incredible.
6 a.m., not one after school weight session, not one time in the dog days of summer they could have hung it up and said, hey, I got something going on, I got a family that's going on vacation.
I want to sleep in or something.
They didn't do that. And what's so neat is that we've kind of given them a platform and say, hey, this is what you can do, or this is how you can be successful if you do this. And they've taken it and run with it. I'll get some credit for some of this. Our coaching staff will get some credit for some of this as people talk about it in the community. But all the credit in the world goes to these kids for what they've done and how they've bought into the process.
Yeah, and in addition to that, talking about their work ethic, but in addition to that, they've adapted a lot. They've adapted to different coaching styles and whatnot, and position changes. I mean, a lot of those seniors you mentioned, like Trey Hino and Denhart and Bryce Hoyle, they've all kind of shifted around. So, I mean, it just shows to their versatility that they're able to make those transitions so easily.
Well, a year ago today, Clint Denhart was a quarterback, and I knew from the beginning his best position was running back. He's so natural at the running back position, and he is. Trey Hino, is not going to have the catches he had last year, but look what he's done defensively for us. He doesn't come off the field at cornerback, and he's done some really good things at that position. You're exactly right. Bryce Hoyle, we've asked him to move all over. He was right guard last year. Now he's our left guard, and he went from D tackle to D end after game 5. I mean, think about those things that our kids, we've just asked them to do.
And Lance is playing a lot on defense.
And Lance is playing a lot on defense too. And so, and again, I think the glue to some of this is the Joe Andersons and the David Richters of the world, who could be those guys in the locker room that could get sour about not playing as many snaps as they maybe want to as seniors, but they haven't. They've supported their teammates. They've found their role as players on this football team, and then Clay Smith and Bryce Hoyle, who are just tremendous leaders for our team and have learned how to lead by not only taking care of themselves, but by bringing others with them. And every one of these seniors, I just got done writing a little something to every one of them. And the neat thing about it is I'm writing and talking about them is that I really feel, Brandon, that every one of these guys are going to be successful in life. And as a coach, I couldn't be more proud.
So, being that it is senior night on Friday against OIBCIG, and we've talked so much about the seniors, we're going to do something a little special today. We're going to give a chance for each senior to say their name, say their position, and give a little something about the football team. So, without further ado, we'll go ahead and toss it over to the seniors.
Bryce Hoyle, number 62. We play offensive line and defensive line. My favorite memory this year would be when Tyler Miller faked a blown-out knee at practice, and we about witnessed Coach Jasky having a heart attack. And then I think the key to our success this year has definitely been everyone buying in and being dedicated to what we believe in, and yeah.
Lance Hughes, Young Ocho, and I play wide receiver and DB. My favorite memory, I don't really have one. My favorite memory is going to be when we win the state title this year. And the key to success this year was definitely people getting to know the game, really filling into those roles that we lost last year, and just attention to detail.
Brock Webker, number 65, O-line and D-line. Probably a favorite memory this year would probably be taking those ice baths in 30-degree weather and with all of my O-line buddies and linebackers. Key to success this year is probably like the process. People just buying in and really trusting the coaches and seeing like what they have to say and just following them.
My name's Austin Delp. I'm number 28 and I play safety. My favorite memory this year has been doing team practices, ice bathing, eating team meals together. It just made us really close. And my favorite memory, key to success, would be how we work together this year. We have a more positive mindset on everything. Nobody gets down on each other if we make mistakes, so we just keep each other up, and that's our key to success.
My name's David Richter. My number is 19. Play D-line and long snapper. Favorite memory would probably be winning the cowbell back. It's just a good experience with the team from all the hard work we put in. And key to success is like we really didn't have any downtime in the off season. Always putting in work. Paid off.
Clayton Smith, number 17. I think my favorite memory was getting the first interception of the year against our rival Perry on that cowbell win. And I think a key to our success has definitely been our defense this year, keeping tough and allowing as few yards as we possibly can.
Every single one of you guys to help. Everyone coming out cramping hurt, out cramping hurt. Every single person. Okay?
I'm Joe Anderson, number 51. I play O-line, D-line. My favorite memory this year was ringing the cowbell after the first game, and I think the key to success this year has been just communication and just working together as a team.
My name's Trey Hino. I wear number 1. I think our key to success this season has started with our defense and the way we come out and give the offense a little confidence. And my favorite memory of being a Ram is just overall this season. My favorite memory as a Ram was our home game against Shenandoah when we shut them out 62-0. So that's my favorite one.
My name's Clint Denhart, number 11, and I play running back. And my favorite memory is probably winning the cowbell back my senior year. And our key to success this year was probably just our off-season work, how hard we worked, and just a whole focus we've had this whole year.
Okay. Eric Thompson, number 77, O-line, D-line. Favorite memory this year is waking up at 4 o'clock every Wednesday morning to go lift and work on some drills. And
key to success?
I say the key to success is just work your hardest and give everything to the team, and they'll give it right back to you.
Thanks to the seniors for doing that. It was great of them to give us a few moments and tell us about each other. But we turn our attention back to a huge game on Friday. Greene County, number 9 in the state, hosts OABCIG, ranked 10th in the state. For the regular season finale, a ton is riding on this game. There's an outside shot for Greene County to still win the district title if Kemper loses to Shenandoah and Greene County wins. there's just a whole lot of riding on it. I mean, playoff bursts. I mean, if Greene County wins this game and they still don't win the district title, it still gives them more likely of a chance to make the playoffs. And it's two teams that are hot. OABCIG has won 3 games in a row, and they've won their last 3 games by about an average of 25 points. They just smoked Kemper on last Friday by 30 points, a team that was ranked and leading the division that had beat Greene County. So they're riding high. Their offense is red hot. They have the best passing offense in the state. Their quarterback, Caden Ladwig, is the leading passer in the state. His touchdown interception ratio is incredible. I think it's 25-6. Mm-hmm. He has 12 rushing touchdowns. He has 2,500 yards. He's just unreal. So before we get into the kind of the schematic things, how big of a game is this for your team? Obviously, it's huge. I mean, I just described it, but what's kind of the atmosphere through your team right now going into that game?
It's kind of like a Kemper week in terms, and again, I think our team has done such a good job of approaching every week by just the task that's ahead of us. But certainly it being senior week, there's a lot of emotions running out. There's great energy. We know the weather's going to be a little better this week. I think we're expecting a really big crowd on Friday night, and we're playing, like you said, the best offensive player in our district. Okay, we're playing a team that's red hot, and we're playing a team that on tape's the best team we've played all year. And I think from a defensive standpoint, our guys kind of got a chip on their shoulder. We understand that maybe, in terms of numbers, our last 2 games weren't our best 2, but we're going up against a team that passes the ball a lot and passes the ball all over people, and we've been really good against the pass this year. When we faced Nevada, we kind of stymied their passing attack, and they're still up there in the state. And so we had the best 2 Tuesday and Wednesday practices we've had all year. We had great energy. We had great focus. We had great attention to detail. And the neatest thing to me is we're going into week 9, the week 9 game, and our effort was off the charts this week in practice. And so that, again, is just another thing that tells you where our program is at in terms of what we've done, what we've become, and who we are as a program. And so just an enormous game for so many things. Certainly we win this football game and we're in the playoffs. I mean, I don't think there's any question about it.
Your RPI would jump inside the top 10. There'd be no way.
And so and you'd be tied for the district title with the other team over there if they win. And so just a huge game for our guys. And more than anything, I think what I've challenged these guys to do really since about week 6 is let's finish this thing. Okay, we got there. Those were our expectations. We knew at that point we could be 5-1, 6-0, whatever the case may be. Now let's finish this thing. Let's put it all together and let's make sure we finish what we started way back in November when our offseason started. So just an enormous game for this program.
Yeah, and like we touched on, Caden Ladwig, I haven't had a chance to see him, but just from stats standpoint, he seems incredible. I mean, last week he put up 7 total touchdowns against a top 10 ranked team.
No doubt.
So that alone is pretty incredible. So what makes him so good as a quarterback, and what are you guys going to do to try to slow him down?
Well, number one, Brandon, he's physically gifted. He's got good size. He can run the ball. He's certainly, his throwing motion's a little different, but he can get the ball out fast. He's got good accuracy, and he's got really good players on the edge to get the ball to. So all those things make him an elite quarterback in Class 2A. And so I imagine he's a good kid in a lot of things in life just by the way you can watch him on film and the way he helps his teammates and the way he's got great command of the offense. Just like a couple quarterbacks we faced this year, I thought had good command of the offense. He's the best we've seen this year. He's a quick game guy, so I think if we can get some pressure on him, it might throw his routine off a little bit, but he's really good at scanning the field pre-snap, knowing exactly where he's going to go. I think they've probably got some single route reads that he's going to do. They roll out with him, and they know who they're throwing the ball to. Number 35 is a sophomore, and as explosive and as fast as a guy we've seen. He again, I think I told you earlier in the week, he kind of matches number 13 in Atlantic. They've got that same knack about them and same movement about them when they get in space and when they get going north. And so, it's tremendous challenge for our guys this week. We're gonna continue to do what we do on defense and play an aggressive style of defense and be physical with those guys. And they've got some younger kids playing in some really key roles. Obviously, the quarterback's a senior, but number 35 is a sophomore. Got a couple other younger kids playing in some key roles, and we've got some seniors on defense that I hope they play like seniors on Friday night.
Yeah, and you mentioned their skill players. 2 of the receivers are top 5 in the state. Number 35, Cooper Dijon, I think.
Yeah.
He's leading the state
and
in
did not
touchdowns.
play in the Red Oak game.
Wow, he didn't. So that makes a big difference there.
Sure.
So that Red Oak was their only loss. So that
Correct.
does make a big difference.
Sure.
And so one thing I noticed going into the year, it looked like OABCIG was a run-heavy team. And to me, it surprised me that they're throwing the ball so much. Do you think it surprised you a little bit going in?
You know what? I don't want to discredit, and I certainly don't know their team and don't know their personnel like their coaching staff does. I think their O-line maybe their weak point a little bit, and their skill players not so much at all. I think they've got 4 or 5 skill players that can really run, really catch the ball, really elusive when they get into space. And so I think the credit to OABCIG and their staff is I think so many teams this day and age just do what they do, and that's how they're going to do it, and they get stuck in a rut. Like these guys are like, hey,
they adapted.
We got 5 good players. That why would we be trying to go too tight and run the ball? We got guys sitting on the sidelines that can help us win football games. And so a bunch of credit goes to that staff and saying, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. And you remember, they're a team that's moved up. So they're a 1A football team that has moved up to 2A. And again, I think, A, 1A, 2A, and probably the lower half of 3A, it's pretty similar. Once you get in that top half of 3A and 4A, it's a different level of talent. But, so it's just because they were playing 1A football a year ago, they're a damn good football team. Yes, no question.
And you make a good point talking how their coaching staff adapts, and your coaching staff obviously adapts a lot. Yeah. So do you think there'll be a lot of kind of chess match going on in this game?
Yeah, I certainly there'll be a chess match this game. Just how you put it, I think there's going to be some things we're going to have to adjust to. We always kind of base our defense based off on, or we line up based on formation. We'll do a little more this week based on personnel than we have probably in weeks 1 through 8, just because you've got to do some things with 35 to make him not just get out in open space, because he'll just beat you. He's faster than most people on the field, and so we'll do some things based on personnel. We'll continue to do some things based on their formations, and I imagine they'll throw some new wrinkles in us offensively, because as we're coming into this game as a 7-1 football team, I think it's pretty apparent that we do a good job of studying film and watching what the other team's doing. So right now we have a good grasp of what they've done and what their body of work is week 1 through 8, but good programs put in new wrinkles to do things to throw the other teams off, and I'm sure they'll do the same. So we'll have to adjust during the game, and that goes back to our kids Brandon's going to go back to our kids just playing with great effort, great energy.
Yeah, and so offensively for you guys, it looks like they kind of aren't that tight on the run. They've given up probably around 150 yards the last 3 games. So what are you going to do offensively to attack their defense?
Well, we're going to feed the two-headed monster in Clinton Denhart and Colby Kafer as much as we can, and run behind the big cat and Tyler Miller, and Coach Jaski again has just done a great job of putting in some wrinkles here and there that teams can't get a beat on exactly what we're doing. We'll continue to use Denhart a little bit in that wildcat position, and now the unique part about Riley having such a good game is, boy, our offense just went to this, back to this, and now there's a plethora of things that we can do that really throws teams off, and the nice part is, when we get Riley in the football game, we can still run the ball. Even Riley in a little bit of a zone read, he can continue to keep him honest. And so our game plan is to be as balanced as we can be, and that's not necessarily Brandon run pass. Balanced meaning get all our playmakers the ball at the opportune times.
Yeah, absolutely, and like we touched on earlier, for fans of football, this is the game that you wanted. This is the game that anybody wants. Both teams. A game that means everything at the end of the season. Yeah. Basically, whoever wins is in the playoffs for sure. If OABCIG wins, they're guaranteed to be in the playoffs with the district title. And then if you guys win, like we mentioned earlier, you'll jump inside the RPI top 10. So there's tons of playoff implications on this game. I know I'm excited for this game. I know you guys are really excited for this game. So if you guys want to watch some big-time football on Friday, head out to Linduska Field in Jefferson at 7 o'clock and watch 2 top 10 teams battle in a regular season finale. That does it for us today. Thanks again, Mitch, for always joining us, and enjoy some football on Friday.